everyone, and welcome to the HeartSet podcast, the private podcast where the host changes and the guest stays the same. I'm Kim. I'm your host for this episode. Today, we're discussing taking action. I'd like to introduce our sponsor and resident guest, Ramona Galey. Ramona helps self-starters reclaim their brilliance and leverage their personal assets into success, even if they don't think they have any personal assets. Ramona is passionate about empowering people to focus on what they want. And she's the founder of the HeartSet Academy and the Alignment Circle. And you can see her bio in the comments. So welcome, Ramona. So we're going to talk about taking action today.
Cool.
First of all, it's awesome to have you here. It's awesome to be here with you and asking these questions. So thank you for allowing me, and thank you for being here.
Well, thank you, Kim. I really appreciate your being here, asking the questions and bringing this topic. I love this topic, taking action.
Taking action. So we can't just like read about it. I mean, but what's the benefit of taking action?
Yeah, or you also can't just sit around and think about it, which is I think what most people do.
Mm-hmm.
We think about it, and then we think we've done it.
Yes, there's a lot of I'm reading memes and I'm, thinking about the concepts, so I must be practicing it somehow.
Right. Yeah, and even talking about it and all that. So yeah, so I love the topic of taking action. So and for me, so taking action has a couple of we were talking just before we started recording, and I told you that story about when I was buying the chalet in Georgia, and I actually made a video at that time called "The Magic of Taking Action," and it was all about how I was so caught up in my guidance, in the sureness, the certainty of my guidance of buying the chalet. I was living in Florida, and I was buying a chalet in the mountains of Georgia. I had never been there before. I didn't know anybody there, and yet this guidance was so strong. And so at the time that I made that video, I had the property under contract, but we hadn't closed yet. We hadn't even had the inspection yet. So, but I was so certain that what I said on the video was wild horses couldn't stop me from buying. Yes. It doesn't matter how the inspection comes back. It doesn't matter anything that my friends kept saying, well, aren't you worried that, whatever, fill in the blank. We humans can worry about a lot of stuff. And I just wasn't worried about any of it. I just knew. And so sometimes we have that certainty. Wild horses couldn't stop me from doing that. And sometimes we don't have that certainty. We don't have that clarity. We don't have a strong direction one way or the other. So I guess what I'd want to say about taking action is I would take it down to the very lowest common denominator.
Okay, what's that?
How am I feeling right now? If I'm not feeling great, it's time to take action. Now, do I mean go buy a chalet in the woods or in the mountains? No, I mean focus, like stop and focus and start to invite that clarity to come. Like, what is it that I actually want? Because if I don't feel good, I want something different than what I'm experiencing right now. And so what is that I want? What do I think will make me feel better? And of course, the common answer is, $1 million and, an attentive lover and that, and a fit body, healthy body. And that pretty much do it.
Yeah. Couple things.
Right? Just a couple of things. So taking action, it's so funny because we beat up on ourselves all the time for not taking action when we're in our heads. When we're thinking we should be doing this, I should be doing this, I should be starting a business, or I should be, looking for a new job, or I should be, asking for a promotion at work, or I should be, working things out with my husband, or I should be a better parent. Like I should. But the real action, the one of getting in touch with ourselves to really come back to this center right here, right now, the one where the action part might be meditate, or it might be execute a focus wheel, or speak a rampage of appreciation, or tell a vortex story, like those actions, those are the ones that we tend not to take. So I think I'd want to focus there. Like, let's talk about the very like bottom line, basic taking action. That's
Okay,
what I
I
want
like
to.
that because sometimes we think taking action is how many activities can I do? How much
Yeah.
stuff can I move from here to here? Or, action is always outward, but the
Yes.
action that we're talking about really is actually more stillness, more inwardly focused.
Yes.
Um, yeah, so I think
Yeah.
that a lot of people substitute action for the real focus.
I love that distinction you've just made. That's beautiful. That's really, really what I'm talking about. Internal, or you could say unconditional, or maybe just present,
Yeah.
present action as opposed to flailing action.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So and here's the thing. The cost of inaction
Mm-hmm.
is huge.
Oh, yeah.
It's huge. It's the difference between happy and not. It's
Mm.
the difference between aligned, in alignment, or out of alignment. It's the difference of our health. It's the difference of our relationships. When we're out of alignment, when we're not happy, when we're not bringing our A game, and I don't mean the pressure to show up with a bag of, something, a bag of candy,
Yeah.
or a
Yeah.
bouquet of flowers. I don't
Right.
mean that kind of showing up. I mean showing up as ourselves, in our authentic selves.
Mm-hmm.
The cost of not doing that cannot be overstated. It's huge in terms
Wow.
of lost opportunities, damaged relationships, lost time that is intensely beautiful, or that it's intensely intimate, like the stuff we actually came here for.
Right.
Like, I really
Yeah.
don't believe we came here to pay bills and go to the grocery store and yell at our kids and dread going to work and drive, an hour each day to do something that we don't enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
Or whatever the scenario is for different people, or even just sit in a beautiful home with beautiful clothes and eat beautiful food and feel hollow inside, right? It doesn't have to be as dramatic as, living on the streets, or not being able to afford to raise your kids. It can be in every socioeconomic strata. The cost of inaction, the human cost, the vibrational cost, the angst, the stress, the overwork, the burnout, that it's reaching epidemic
Mm-hmm.
proportions in our society. And I think many societies, many cultures all around the world, as they follow our lead more and more, they
Right.
import,
Yeah.
all of our junk, our TV
Mm-hmm.
shows, our
Mm-hmm.
movies, and
Mm-hmm.
our cultural sayings and whatnot. And so yeah, taking action means, okay, I'm going to say this. Somebody listening's not going to like this, but I'm going to say it anyway. Taking action means taking responsibility.
Oh.
Doesn't mean just jumping into the first action that occurs to you, or the action that you've been, taught to do, get disciplined, and have SMART goals and all that stuff. It's not
Yeah.
that.
Right.
It's the opposite of that.
Mm-hmm.
It's go inside and start connecting with who we really are. And I needed a lot of help with that. A lot of people, I think, might need a lot of help with that. So that means getting help, and it means reaching out for the support and the encouragement, that we all need as humans, and every
Mm-hmm.
time we're changing a behavior or a habit.
Mm-hmm.
But either way, start now. Don't
Mm-hmm.
wait. Start now. In fact, I've got a little training I want to do. Are you up for it?
Great. Yes, let's do it.
Uh, Okay, let's do it. Okay, one rule.
Okay.
One rule, not a skill. I'm going to get to a skill in a minute, but there's one rule, and
Okay.
you have to agree to this. No sense even thinking about it another second if you don't agree to this. Okay,
Okay.
self-imposed rule: do whatever it takes to feel good.
Okay.
Now that sounds easy, maybe.
Sounds easy. Sounds like, yeah.
We have to give ourselves permission to
Mhm.
do whatever it takes to feel good. We've been told our whole lives
Yeah.
we don't deserve to feel good.
Right.
We're supposed to do whatever makes somebody else feel good. Why would we be there we go, so selfish as to do whatever it takes to feel good?
That's
It's the
right.
only way we can do it. That's the only way we're any good to anybody. It's like the airline mask. Put the airline,
Yeah.
stewardess or whatever.
Right.
Put the mask on yourself first, and then help anybody who needs it.
Hmm.
If
Hmm.
you're passed out, your child probably not going to get the help they need, or your elderly parent, or whoever it is sitting next to you, right?
Right.
So we got to take care of ourselves first, and
Yeah.
that means doing whatever it takes to feel good first. And here's the other reason: not only to help other people, but because that's where our alignment is. It's in
Yes.
feeling good.
Hmm.
When we make a decision to do, we have two choices, and this one doesn't feel very good. This one looks like it feels pretty good. And I let that one go, and I look at this one. I've taken a step, I've taken a sovereign step that says, I deserve,
Hmm.
I am worthy, I
Hmm.
belong, I'm here,
Yeah.
I'm here. This is me. And then when we do it again, okay, now we're looking at this, and now here's another option. Well, okay, this one's actually better than that one. So now I've let the other one go, and now I'm on to this one, right?
Yeah.
And then, okay, cool. And as I climb that ladder of goodness, now I'm going somewhere. I'm getting momentum going. I'm getting into alignment. I'm tapping into all that Source has to offer. I can actually offer myself to the world now in authenticity and in in sovereignty, in freedom, in joy. I'm no longer giving from sacrifice. I'm giving from wholeness and from
Hmm.
abundance. So that's it. One rule. Now, here comes the skill.
What's the skill? Uh,
Learn to discern
oh,
what actually feels better.
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Because we don't, we get conditioned away from knowing what feels better to us
Certainly.
because we've been told so much to do what everybody else thinks,
Hmm.
or
Hmm.
we should want
Should.
McDonald's food or ice cream or donuts, or we should, want pornography or gambling or shopping, shopaholic kind of a thing.
Hmm.
We should use alcohol to numb ourselves.
Hmm.
So that's the skill. Now I teach this skill all day long.
Hmm.
I'm not going to say that it's absolutely easy. I'm going to say it's simple, but it's not easy.
Right.
And in my
Yes.
experience, it takes a fair amount of training and practice,
Hmm.
some discipline, as we call it, not discipline, some discipline. And I define discipline as the commitment to focus only on that which feels good. So if I'm following my one rule, which is the discipline, and I come up against, oh, my body wants this. It seems like my body wants this, but my mind doesn't. Or my heart wants this, but my mind doesn't. Or my heart and mind want this, but my pocketbook doesn't. Like,
Uh-huh.
all of this mix, right? Learn to discern what actually feels good. Okay. So that's the skill. Learn the skill. Million different ways to learn the skill.
Hmm.
I can help you speed it up, but either way, learn the skill. And one habit.
Okay.
And this is even more relaxed than the rule. The rule, you just kind of make that decision once and then you reinforce it every time some part of you says, or somebody else says, you shouldn't be just doing what feels good. So that rule you decide up in advance, and then you may not ever have to think about it again. It's just in place. The habit, you got to practice the habit. You got to remind yourself over and over and over again. The habit is allow things to unfold naturally.
Oh, well, yes.
So no more pushing, no more impatience, no more frustration, no why can't I do this? Well, no more what's wrong with me.
Yeah.
You let all of that go. Now that takes some practice,
Hmm.
not a huge skill, but it does
Hmm.
take some
Hmm.
practice and some reinforcement, some encouragement, some support, and it really helps to have access to unconditional love twice a
Yes.
week, like I
Yes.
could give you.
It does.
But
Yes.
but get it somewhere. When my late partner Betty was still
Hmm.
alive, I could get unconditional love from her probably 90% of the time. Not like Source,
Hmm.
but it was there. We gave that to each other. We had a very, very special relationship. And so that's where I would go. I don't have that now. So if you have that in a human, take advantage of it. I don't mean take advantage like in a bad way, like make
No,
use of it,
right, right, right.
and make sure that you're appreciating that person and give the same back. The art of just listening, of receiving without judgment, without giving advice, without teaching, without
Mhm.
lecturing,
Mhm.
just being there for somebody, that act of unconditional love, which of course none of us humans have the way divine, spirits do, the way like Oprah that
Certainly.
I receive. But get get access to unconditional love on a regular basis. Implement the one rule. Start learning and training on the one skill, and start practicing the one habit. But start now.
Uh-huh.
Start now. The cost of not doing this is through the roof. I don't want to sound like overly dramatic or anything, but I promise you it's true.
Yeah.
It's the cost is is immeasurable. Start now. You can do it. Start now.
Okay. How do we start now?
Practice the one, get the one
Practice them.
rule in place,
Okay.
then start learning to discern. In other words, do whatever it takes to feel better. Learn to discern what actually feels better. That
Hmm.
might mean a lot of meditation. If you're doing it on your own, here's how you do it. You would meditate every day.
Hmm.
You would find another person, a like-minded person who's going to, really do this, and trade speaking rampages of appreciation to each other every day,
Hmm.
not once a week.
Yeah. Yeah. Every day.
Minimum, bare minimum, twice a week. That's why I run the group twice a week. But really, ideally, is every day, especially if you're doing it on your own, because you don't have that swirling of support and just incredible just encouragement and upliftment that you get from a small group like what we're
Hmm.
doing. But by yourself, so commit to the one rule, learn to discern what actually feels better, and just practice the habit. It's any new habit, you have to do it pretty much every day for like 26 days before it even starts to feel
Hmm.
normal at all. You're,
Hmm.
you're building new synapses in your brain. All three of these things, you're building new synapses in your brain. In other words, new neural pathways. So
Yeah.
our brain gets very stuck in, like if I have pancakes every morning for breakfast, when I get up one day and there's no pancake batter, it's going to be so our brains develop these neural pathways in our
Mhm.
habits. So, and here's the thing to remember about habits is you don't ever just stop one habit, you replace it with a new habit. So you
Yes.
find that new
Yeah.
habit, allow things to unfold naturally. That means constant reminders, constant mindfulness check-ins, maybe some journaling, maybe talking with some like-minded people.
Hmm.
Get the support wherever you can, and or find a program, like mine, that gives you the support.
Yes.
And and so yeah, that's how you start now. If you're going to do it
Okay.
on your own, take
Okay.
those three and run with it.
Hmm.
Run with it. You'll figure it out. You'll get there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
So before, a few minutes ago, you mentioned burnout,
Hmm.
and we sort of just went by that. How is this related to that? What's, like an epidemic proportions of burnout? And I totally
So
agree with that.
yeah, so burnout is the very normal natural progression
Hmm.
if you're not in alignment.
Okay.
It's the natural progression for all of us. It's not just for overachievers. It's not just for moms, busy moms. It's for everybody. Burnout is what happens when we're trying to do it alone.
Ah,
We
okay.
don't have to do it alone.
Perfect.
Well, we didn't come here to do it alone. We were never meant to do it alone. We were meant to do it hand in hand with Source or God or Mother
Hmm.
Nature or whatever you want
Hmm.
to call it. We are part of a whole, like this whole of us. We've got the conscious physical us, and then we've got the less conscious, more like non-physical connected part of us, and then there's all that is.
Hmm.
And all of that is tied together. And as soon as we perceive a separation in that, we start burning out,
Yes.
because we're trying to manufacture something we were never made to manufacture. It's like we're
Mm.
caterpillars trying to manufacture a brick wall. Caterpillars are made to manufacture silk, not brick.
Hmm.
It's like that whole story. If you measure somebody, if you measure the efficacy of a fish by how well they ride a bicycle, you're really, barking up
Right.
the wrong tree to take
Right.
that full. Yeah, so it's like that. So burnout is the attempt to do something you were never meant to do in
Mm,
ways that you were never meant to do it, in ways that are destructive to you and everyone
mhm,
around you.
mhm.
That's how I would define burnout.
Okay.
And all of that stops as soon as you start doing the one rule, one skill, one habit. It all stops. It comes to a screeching halt. You'd be shocked at how fast it stops when you really get on the bandwagon
Hmm.
with that very simple, like just get started now and see what happens. See what happens.
Yeah. Wow. It almost sounds too easy. Almost sounds like, oh, sure, someone could say, well, okay, there's got to be more than one rule. There's tons of rules. There's
Nope,
tons of,
just one rule.
yeah. So,
Here's the great thing about that rule. It's a great question. One rule, do whatever it takes to feel good. Think of all the things that are incorporated in that. So it's
right.
not
Yeah.
as easy as it sounds. It's just easy
Hmm.
to remember. It's easy
Hmm.
to get started on. It's easy to accomplish probably over time. If you want to take less time, then get a whole lot of support. If it's
Yeah.
okay to take a long time, then go ahead and just do it on your own. But the rule doesn't change, but it does incorporate a lot of things like how
Hmm.
do I do whatever it takes to feel good? That's lots of different processes and practices and exercises
Hmm.
that various spiritual teachers have worked out over the years. This really works. Why don't you try that? Here's another one. That one you didn't like that one. Here, try this one. Or like Oprah, my spirit guides can actually read into somebody as we're answering questions. We might read in and actually see an image. They might actually show me an image of this person swimming or dancing. Or one time I had a client that they were like, well, how do I get into this space that you're talking about? I just can't figure it out. And they saw her very clearly dancing this kind of yoga kind of dance. And so they described it to her. Turned out to be that's what she does for a living. It's got some
Oh.
special name like dance yoga or something. I can't remember. It's a thing, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
But I didn't know that. Oprah didn't know that. So, but she was like, that's so amazing that you said that because I'm so good at it and I've never done it for me. I've
Oh.
only ever done it for everybody else. I've taught other people how to do it. I've performed it for other people. I've talked about it till I'm blue in the face. I've talked about the health benefits of it and the spiritual benefits, blah, blah, blah. And I've never done it for me.
Mm-mm.
So, so get that kind of support wherever you can get it. Somebody
Hmm.
who can really help you dial in what's right for you. So it's it's
Yeah.
not it's not totally easy, but it's simple. And that's what I like about it. One rule.
Yeah.
And then just one skill. Learn how to do it really well. But there's a lot that goes into that rule. Well, there's a
Mhm.
lot that goes into the habit too. But it's
Yes.
easy to remember. It's easy to remind yourself. It's easy to get started right now. That's what you want to do. Get started right
Get
now.
started right now.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great. So, um, the the cost of not taking action. Say I just kind of give mental assent to this. Yeah, I think that's a really good idea.
Okay.
But I haven't gotten to the point yet where I feel bad enough. You know, do people have to get like, well, some people do have to get way down at the bottom in order
Every,
to,
everybody's got a personal bottom. That's
yeah.
the things I learned in that. I went to 12-step meetings for a while. Alcoholics, no, not alcoholics, Codependents Anonymous, adult
Um,
children of alcoholics, like all these different 12-step. I never had the actual drinking problem, but it was the
yeah.
opposite. And it was also just free therapy. So when I
Hmm.
was in my 20s, I didn't have any money. I was a classical trumpet player. So I would just go wherever I could get help, right?
Uh-huh.
And so yeah, that personal bottom,
Hmm.
it's so personal.
Hmm.
I know that's like being redundant or something, but
Yeah.
each one of us gets to decide, and we don't decide like for a lifetime. We decide in every given moment.
Right. In the moment. Right.
Do I feel, how do I feel right now? Do I feel good enough to just leave it the status quo, or do I need to change something? That's basically the question, right? If I'm sitting by the fire and it starts getting too hot, I love my fireplace. I love sitting by the fire. I could gaze into the fire for hours, and I have done, and I do. But if it gets too hot, I got up and I move back. It's just as simple as that.
Mm-hmm.
When you've reached your personal bottom on any particular topic in any given moment, you're assessing how you feel, how you think you're going to feel, as a result of all of this. In other words, what's
Mm-hmm.
the ensuing, momentum going to bring me? What would I have to do to change it if I don't like it? What can I do to exacerbate it if I do like it? Like, we're always just kind of assessing our place in time and space, right? And so that goes the same thing with all of this. If you're pretty well fine and not highly motivated, stay right where you are, as long as you can. I mean, things continue to change.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not happy with where you are, start making changes.
Yeah.
And this whole episode, this whole series that we're doing gives a lot of starting places for, depending on where you are.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever it is, get help or get started or do whatever it takes to feel good. And just by the way, one thing I want to add on that, do whatever it takes to feel good, it's conditional or unconditional. So a lot of people in like an Abraham Hicks
Uh-huh.
community, they believe they're being taught and they're absorbing, and they absorb it just a little bit extreme than the way it's meant,
Uh-huh.
I think, in my opinion, in that I have to find something unconditional to focus on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I can't have a cigarette or overeat or have a glass of wine or whatever to feel good, because that's conditional. That's not really getting into alignment. That's just
Mm-hmm.
kind of kicking the
Mm-hmm.
can down the road, or cheating, right? It's like cheating. We think
Yeah.
it's cheating.
Yeah.
It's not cheating. Do whatever it takes to feel good. So I'll tell you that a little bit more advanced refinement of that, which is, and then don't stop there.
Ah.
Right? So you go to the eye doctor. He or she says, which lens is better, one or two? And you say one. So he goes, which is better, one or three? And you go, oh, three. Okay, which is better, three or four? He doesn't stop at one or two. And you say one. Okay, great. Here's your new pair of glasses.
Yes.
He doesn't
Yeah.
do that. He says, or she says, okay, we're going to keep going and keep refining this. Now, usually they're close enough, that they only take you 2 or 3 spots away. But if they
Mm-hmm.
started not knowing what, where, like no idea where your acuity was, they might start at 1 and get all the way to 10 or 20 by the time they found the one that was just right. So it's the same thing. Don't stop. It's like when somebody's depressed
Mm-hmm.
and they start to get angry, the
Yeah.
people around them don't like that.
Yeah. Right.
They'd rather you just go back down to depressed.
Mm-hmm.
But here's depression and here's anger on the emotional scale, right? So
Mm-hmm.
if you're depressed or um, ashamed or guilty or grief stricken or whatever it is, if it's below anger and you can get yourself up into anger, now don't stay there, but use it almost like a catapult. The momentum of
Oh.
anger to let you just propel
Mm-hmm.
right through that and look for what's above. So you're
Yeah.
constantly, I could be ecstatic. I could be at a party of my best friends in the whole world and be having the best time in the world. And I still might stop and say, how can I feel even better? This is amazing. How could this feel even better? So you could ask that question every single step along the way.
Mm-hmm.
So if I've used, let's say, drugs, I am absolutely verklempt. I am lost. I'm suicidal. And somebody says, here, try some cocaine. I say, okay, I try some cocaine. Well, now I feel better. I've never actually taken cocaine, so I don't know for sure. But what I hear is now I would feel better,
Yeah.
right? Don't stay there. Don't say,
Mm-hmm.
okay, now cocaine is my thing. And this is how I feel. But now you've gone conditional.
Mm.
But if you use a conditional tool, conditional meaning outside ourselves, not
Uh-huh.
under our control. That's what I
Right.
mean, just for definition,
Sure.
conditional. So if I use something conditional to feel better, then I'm just looking for the next best one and the next best. And spoiler alert, when you get high enough on the vibrational scale, everything becomes unconditional. Like the
Mm.
next feeling, the next thing, the next tool, it's unconditional.
Oh.
because you're high enough now. You've kind of escaped Earth's gravity or something. I
Hmm.
don't know how to describe it, but
Yeah.
yeah, but use whatever it takes, do whatever it takes, use whatever skill or tool or vice or anything to feel better. But then just don't stay there. Keep going. Keep going.
Keep going.
Keep
Great.
going. Yeah. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Pretty soon you've got a happy life.
That's super. Yeah.
It is
Really
super.
beautiful. Oh, okay. Um, so we've kind of gotten some tricks and tips about, how to start.
Mm-hmm.
Um, very good. I is there anything else that we need to know that you would like to say about that?
It may seem overwhelming. If you start on your
Mm,
own, I'll just tell you from personal experience, it might
mm-hmm.
seem really overwhelming. It's why I do what I do.
Yeah.
Because this service that I provide was not available when I
Mm-hmm.
needed it, when I
Mm-hmm.
wanted it. And so it was very overwhelming sometimes. It was still better than the alternative because I was coming from a very low place. But if you're
Wow.
coming from, work's going pretty well, the relationship's going okay, it's
Mm-hmm.
not great, we're always struggling, but it's okay. It may seem too overwhelming for it to be worth it to you. I don't know. But still do it.
Yeah.
Start.
Yeah.
Start now. Take action. Get support and find out for yourself. That's what I would say. Find out for yourself.
Oh.
Things will get better, and then frequently then they start to slow down or get more frustrating again, and you work through that, and that's typically where I kind of, get new
Mm-hmm.
clients is in
Mm-hmm.
that space, but not always. But
Mm-hmm.
things get so much better. It's so worth it. I promise. Just start.
Beautiful. Thank
Yeah.
you so much. This is very good. Thank you.
You're very welcome. My pleasure. Thank you.
Okay.
I love having these conversations with you. This is great.
Okay.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
I said it first that time.